Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd, and with my sahib and co-host
Isa Abu Isa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, we are in the last day of Ramadan. The blessed Eid, inshallah ta'ala, is tomorrow. Taqabbal Allahu minna wa minkum jami'an. We ask Allah Jalla wa ala to accept our fast, our standing, and night in prayer, as well as all of our deeds. Alhamdulillah, from ourselves as well as from you all, and this blessed Eid. Alhamdulillah, this is our 5-minute wake up. I know you guys miss us, but we, is inshallah ta'ala, is going to touch on some issues. We'll be coming from the article known as the cult characteristics among the Salafis in the West, that was written and gathered together by our beloved brother, the White Battle, known as Abu Aliyah, who's currently residing in Qatar, who has his PhD, I believe, now in Hadith studies.
Yeah.
However, this particular chapter, we already covered the first half of chapter 4. We're going to continue. Before starting, though, we want to get certain things out there so that it can be clear. The purpose of these particular talks, we said it multiple times on many of the 5-minute wake-up clips, is not to be in a personal attack or an assault on anyone. However, but it is to be a sort of clarification, a sort of refutation of the characteristics that can be found within this article that might be present, and which it is present, and we want to at least highlight those characteristics. We want to make sure that we ask Allah Jalla wa ala to keep us away from those characteristics, and there's others that we see that might be afflicted with those characteristics that we want to refute them. So it's not like one of these talks that we just get together and just want to gang up on particular individuals and so forth. With that being said, there have been recently, let the brother start, he's going to read this part here, and we're going to bring up some statements that has been circulating, not just on the web or on the social media sites, but I'm going to let you, the audience, see what these type of statements are, and see that our brother, inshallah ta'ala, Abu Ali, was pretty much his own point.
It says here, Sheikh Ali ibn Yahya al-Hadadi, Hafizullah, may Allah preserve him, said, the result of this fanaticism of the followers is love and praise amongst themselves. The one who praises their leader is a beloved friend. On the contrary, the one who criticizes him, even if he is correct, is a hated enemy. Among the main wicked traits of cults and Hizbi groups is that that any criticism leveled against them is deemed as a persecution or an attack. Severe hatred towards the critic is then shown, and Allah's refuge is sought.
Referring back to the statement of Sheikh Ali ibn Yahya al-Haddadi, Hafizullah, may Allah preserve him, the issue about the fanaticism. We have seen a lot, and may Allah Jalla wa ala bless you as well. We have been seeing a lot on fanaticism now. We have some statements that maybe you might not be aware of, and maybe the brothers themselves may not be aware of. So this is part of advice to them as well, if they come across this audio, if someone who are in contact with them, to make them aware of these particular statements. Statement number 1 is that there was a post recently, I believe about before the month of Ramadan actually came in, a sister had made a post where she was mentioning about that there were other masjids that ascribe to the dawah and call to the dawah, and that we need to be, not try to be so much extreme in this point. And one particular brother, we don't know who the brother is, he got up there and he posted a comment up there, and he told the sister, fear Allah, if you're not taken from the classes or the khutbahs of Hassan Somali, then you are not Salafi. Now, maybe Somali is not aware of this, and that's the belief that I hold, that he maybe not be aware of it, and maybe he didn't put the individual up to say it. However, he still needs to be advised to make sure that these type of talks or anything that can be attributed to him where fanaticism can be found is that he, inshallah ta'ala, to free himself of it, and also to warn these individuals to stay away from that, especially overpraising people. And this fanaticism also have reached a level as we reach statement number 2. The second statement we came across was an individual had posted up a talk that the brother Abu Khadija Abdul Wahid gave in Salafi Pub, and after posting the actual lecture, he comments under the bottom, he said, the Sheikh, the defender of the Sunnah, the Minhaj, the reviver of the Minhaj, the Alama. And he gave them these titles, which, number one, is definitely overpraising and it's not befitting of his station, which I believe if you was to question himself, the correct position, I believe he wouldn't take those anyway, those type of statements. Now, this particular guy had made this statement about Abu Khadija. We posted the statement, and some people, obviously, his sister, she commented and said, well, if you're going to, correct the errors, then it make it seem like you're doing the same thing that the other side you're claiming them to do. When we posted the statement, we wasn't attacking Abu Khadija. We was attacking the fanaticism of the followers of these particular individuals, how they attribute themselves to them, and then turn around and overly praise them. And the praises that he overly praised them with wasn't minor praises. He called them the reviver of the Minhaj the Salaf. I'll let that sit there for you a minute. For anyone that knows in history, before you can take on the title Mujaddid, okay, there are certain characteristics you must have. And one being from among them is you're being a scholar. We see that the Mujaddiduns that we are aware of, like Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, like Ahmad ibn Hanbal, like Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad Wahab,
Madini ibn Madini, people like that.
Like these people, Yahya ibn Madini. I mean, you have different people who were known as Mujaddidun from amongst their peers who were scholars who gave them these titles. As far as calling someone the defender of the Sunnah, this was a statement that was given to the likes of scholars like Ahmad ibn Hanbal and the likes like that. We don't apply them to callers to the way of Islam, let alone students of knowledge,
in the masjid,
or imams and masjids, or leaders of part of organizations. We don't apply that. So we advise, like we said, for those who are in close contact with the brothers, to advise them of these statements that have been said about them, and that they should, inshallah, correct these errors from those who attribute themselves to following them, because this is a problem, inshallah, and it's fanaticism. And we advise you to free yourself from it, because if I believe correctly, the issue of our beloved Sheikh, and I'm going to say beloved Sheikh because as we said before, that doesn't mean because we respect someone's station in life as far as knowledge, and they have been refuted on some errors, or whether it was major errors or not, it doesn't give us the rights as laymen or even students to come in now and remove that honor from them. None of the ulama of the past, and especially those who we say we take from, like Sheikh Uthaymeen, when he was talking about Muhammad Jabreen, rahimahullah, and he still called him Sheikh Jabreen. He still gave him the respect of calling him Sheikh Jabreen. He didn't remove that from him. That don't mean he followed him in his errors. This is something that's very common now. Many people think somebody's being refuted or warned against. The first thing you do is remove their sheikhhood. I don't know where they get that from, but
call him a fool.
Yeah, we don't do that.
This.
Anyway, Sheikh Yahya al-Hajuri, whatever the issues is, that's not our problem. But it's something that we wanted to mention in terms of this overly praise that was mentioned about. One of the things that they was warning against Sheikh Yahya about is that he was letting people overly praise him in his presence. People would say poetry and they would overly praise him and he wouldn't check them. Whether or not this is true, this is what it was said in the articles and the documents. So we're only saying it to the same individuals that, inshallah, that you look also and make sure nobody doing it to you, overly praising you.
Exactly.
We had statement number 3. Now, statement number 3 is a little bit more disturbing than the first 2 statements, and you want to see why. Statement number 3 was made by an individual who said that I would die. I would take, what he said, I actually would take a bullet for Hassan Somali. Just so he can remain here to give the da'wah.
Preserve knowledge.
Now, I'm not saying Somali told him to say this. I'm not saying Somali is encouraging this. I'm saying that Somali need to discourage this, and if he's get whiff to this, he need to advise that, because all of this stuff is tracing back again, being attributed to them. In terms of these people that are following this, it's like they're blind following. They're becoming fanatics. And statements like this, I would take a bullet for somebody. I mean, just the sheer fact of saying I would take a bullet for somebody is like, it's beyond. I mean, the conversation didn't even go there. It was not like, if I'm happening to be in a circumstance where as though some gunfire come out just to get my brother out of the line of fire, or whoever it is, whether it's Somali or anyone else, if Allah give me that courageous, I would jump in and I would do that. No, it was one of these, I would take a bullet for him. It's just like,
exactly.
that's a little bit gulad. It's way extreme. It's way extreme. And The fact that we are not looking at this is what the brother was trying to put together in this article. So the result of this fanaticism, the followers is love and praise among themselves. And what they do is, you see that a lot of these followers, what they do is they only praise the people they take from. They only show love to the people they take from. And whether or not they claim Salafi or not, that isn't the point. If it's not from whom they take from, they don't look that way. Another statement that's going around is that if you see people who are not adhering to a certain way, or go to a certain masajid, or take from a certain people, this is what they say to you. They say, we got love for our brothers, but then you say, do you got a love for these brothers? Then they go and they laugh. They won't confirm their love. When it's, number one, it's obligatory to have love for the Muslims umuman. Anyone that say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, it is obligatory to have love generally. Number one. It's just there's no scholar that will argue with that. You know what I mean? You show proofs after proofs that you must love them generally. Now, in terms of the different types of innovations, inshallah ta'ala, may Allah bless us one day to put together a lecture where we go into detail from the scholars of the past, the Qudama, leading up to all the Torah scholars now, on how to define innovation and what it actually is, and whose job it is to actually define it. Because this is causing a lot of problems within the communities, and this is what our brother put this article together. He wasn't pinpointing names. He was just showing you that these characteristics are real. Another thing that the Sheikh said, he said the one who praises their leader is a beloved friend. So if you find someone speaking well of the one they take from, they draw closer to him.
Well, we have this statement on Twitter. If a person doesn't have love for Abu Khadija, or love for Hassan al-Malik, or love for Somali, he's not a person of the Sunnah.
Oh yeah, I think it was Amjad Rafiq as well.
Yeah, Amjad Rafiq as well.
Yeah,
it's a statement that's made on Twitter. And
for those who know, what the brother is alluding to, it was a tweet post that was posted by Anwar Wright, and he made a post about whoever doesn't have love, as the brother quoted. And however, like I said, this is just general advice. It's not an attack, but these statements you can find in books like Mountain of Knowledge, or in biographies of the ulama past, and it wasn't made by them themselves. It was made by their peers, and it was actually through observation and the trials and tribulations that these particular scholars went through to save face for the religion, to preserve the religion, and things like that. Now, to come along and apply them to students, I mean, just skip past the scholars that we have in our times right now. To skip past the scholars that we have in our times right now, but to come along now and to skip Sheikh Fawzan, skip Sheikh Wilson, Sheikh Sheikh Haidan, Sheikh Odian, Sheikh Rabia, to skip past all of these individuals and just say, I'm going to apply them to myself. If you don't have love for Somali, you're not on the Sunnah. You don't have love for Amjad Rafiq, you're not on the Sunnah. It's just, I mean,
it's fanaticism.
It's no way you can really put, I can't even put a good twist on it. It's no way you can put a good twist on that. It's no good twist on that, because at the end of the day, you don't find people talking like this.
Well, it says, the Sheikh said, the result of fanaticism of the followers is love and praise amongst themselves. This is part of fanaticism. This is a cult characteristic. We're not saying that the brothers are doing it on purpose or what. We're not putting a hook on anybody. We're saying that this characteristic is a cult Hizbi characteristic, and it needs to be. They need to leave it, and they need to advise the people to stop doing it,
and not to be overly praised. And also, we need to not to overly praise the people.
Exactly.
We can give you examples of present day scholars that's not present now, but relatively passed away shortly, back in the 2000s, and we all stream their names, like Sheikh Al-Albani. There was an incident that a man came to Sheikh Al-Albani, Sheikh Nasruddin Al-Albani, rahmatullah ta'ala, and he praised the Sheikh openly. The Sheikh began to cry. Literally, I'm talking about tears came down profusely in the Sheikh. He began to cry, and he was sensing the man like, I'm not like that. I'm not what what you're saying about me. No. That's not me. Now, let's move on. Sheikh Uthaymeen. This is on YouTube. Anyone can go look it up. Look for the boy who praises Sheikh Uthaymeen with poetry. That's all you got to type in. And y'all might be familiar with it. The guy was, the young lad was reciting poetry, and in the poetry he said that the deen of Allah Jalla wa Ala and the Sunnah will remain as long as we have scholars like Muhammad ibn Salih Uthaymeen around. And when the Sheikh heard that, he stopped him. And then, the people was in the audience, it was like, Sheikh, just let him go. The Sheikh corrected him first and said, no, it's better that if you say this, something to that effect would be good. So he let him continue. He go back, and then he bring it back in again with the Sheikh's name. So the Sheikh said, let. And then they said, let him go. The Sheikh said, no, we don't agree with this, because we do not tie the truth to no man. And he brought
SubhanAllah.
3 points why we don't tie the truth to no man. And just seeing this adab and this etiquette from the sheikh, and how the Salaf themselves are reading their works, they didn't like to be praised, or they didn't felt that they looked at themselves as not being on a certain type of level, and stuff like that, even though they was on that level,
No.
shows us that we need to be very more careful in terms of overly praising people, especially when it comes to callers and beginner students of knowledge. I'm not taking shots, but I'm just saying the reality. You know what I mean? You're talking about people who's mutafannin. Who do we got amongst our people right now? Just be honest. And it's just, anyone can tell you right now that's graduating from these universities, because the scholars already said it. And I'm going off their statement. Sheikh Saleh al-Sheikh said that most of the students that graduate, they lose half of the knowledge that they already have. Why? Because they don't put big focus on memorization. It ain't in their breasts. And he said that he showed that the lack of sincerity because they make major grammatical mistakes. This is Sheikh Saleh al-Sheikh. Also, Sheikh Saleh al-Sheikh also commented and said that when people graduate from the universities, not talking about people graduating, just mentioning students, he said normally you find that a lot of them when they come out from the universities, right, is that because they don't fine-tune, they have beginning tools to start learning. Sheikh Fawzan, he told the graduates, he said, your talaba begins now that you graduate. You got the tools now to study. This is when it begins, when you graduate. And we're not mentioning this to go at attacking students and nothing like that, or putting anyone down. Because inshallah ta'ala, may Allah reward the students, and may Allah reward them for the effort that they put forth and increase them in knowledge. But our point, again, is to say we have to be careful. Just because we have people coming back teaching us doesn't mean we got a right to overly praise them. We don't have a right to overly praise them. And that's advice to the people that's getting praised. So the Sheikh said among the main wicked traits of the cult and the Hizbi group is that any criticism levied against them is deemed as a persecution or attack. And you can witness yourself. This advice here will be taken as criticism. And it will be many from amongst the quote unquote who have the fanatic traits. They will say that, well, they're attacking the brothers. And they're coming after the brothers.
They're attacking the Salafis.
Yeah, or they got a hidden agenda. They want to be known. They want to make themselves famous. Or these type of things like that. Why? Because they believe that anything time that you're correct. And last time I checked that, Allah Jalla wa Ala made it clear when he said, وَتَوَاصَلْ بِالْوَقْتِ
وَتَوَاصَلْ بِالصَّبْرِ.
And a part of Tawasul bil-Sabr, as the ulama explained, this particular surah here, surah also, is what? Nasiha, advice. Prophet ﷺ also said from the hadith of Tamimi, right? Ibn Aws ad-Dari, what did he say? Ad-Deen al-Nasiha. Ad-Deen is advice.
Liman.
And he explained all the people to Lillah, Wali Kitabihi, Wali Rasulihi, Wali
Amat al-Muslimin wa Imamihim. The general Muslim and the leader.
So advice has certain ways it's supposed to be given. So we know that advice can be given. So we see something being done that have a potential harm. Then it's upon anybody and common to anybody to advise. So I advise the brothers to not let the people overly praise them. And I advise the brothers themselves not to overpraise one another. This is not from the way of the Salaf. And you can never show me that this is actually there. I will wait for the bring the proof. It's not the way from the Salaf. Refuge is short because, a lot of the fanaticism also now they're making statements of this person isn't my brother. You hear statements like Tahir Wyatt isn't my brother. I'm not going to say he's not. I'm not saying he's not. He's an innovator, but he's not my brother. I mean, Kaif. Did he not take shahada? If he's under the shahada, the Prophet ﷺ made it clear. What did he say? He said, فَإِذَا what? فَعَلُوا ذَلِكَ what? فَعَصُوا مِنِّي دِمَاءَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ
وَحِسَابٌ عَلَى اللَّهِ.
It's clear. Prophet ﷺ said, if they take the shahada and they say that, then their blood, their wealth. Another narration, he mentioned their honor, their ird, their honor is preserved. So even if you have something against someone, you don't turn around and say that he's no longer my brother, unless he left the fold of Islam. That's important. Not the fold of what you call quote-unquote Salafiyya, but if you left the fold of Islam. Tayyib. The brother going to continue.
Imam Shawkani, rahimahullah, he said, in reference to the enmity shown between followers of the Sunnah and innovators, that its affair is clear, like the sun in the sky. Followers of the Sunnah act hostile towards the innovators due to his bid'ah. The innovator feuds with the follower of the Sunnah on account of what he follows, while the innovator believes he is correct. Thus he clings to that innovation and becomes blind. While blinded, he judges the innovated practices he follows to be entirely correct and the follower of the Quran and Sunnah is upon misguidance.
I want to ask you a question for those who don't know. When the ulama, they refute the people of bid'ah, how do they do it? Is it automatic enmity that's in their heart for them? What do they hate? Do they hate the person that's practicing, the practitioner of the bid'ah? How do they do it? Do they warn against them and call them all types of names and insult them? I mean, this is something that you need to go back and look. You will see that they dealt with them with what? With adab.
No.
Sheikh Fawzan said it's babul nasiha, babul nos, that the way of in correcting the good and forbidding the evil. When they refute the innovation, these are the babs that they are coming from.
And they want them to come back to the Sunnah.
Exactly. And there are certain manners and mannerisms that you must have in doing that.
SubhanAllah. It said, cult Hizbist groups focus on living or deceased leader to whom members display excessively zealous, unquestioning commitment. And he brings the ayah in the Quran. He says, and similarly, we sent not a warner before you, O Muhammad ﷺ, to any town, but the luxurious ones amongst them said, we found our followers following a certain way and religion, and we will indeed follow their footsteps. The warner said, even if I bring you better guidance than that which you found your followers following, they said, verily we disbelieve in that which you have been sent. Surah Zukhruf, verse 23 and 24.
Now, this is another statement that was said that go along with this, is that Abu Khadija and Hassan Somali and these particular brothers, they don't make mistakes. They are upon clarity, and they don't make a mistake ever. This was a statement that was brought to us yesterday, on the eve of yesterday. The individual said that they don't make mistakes ever. Now, many of you would say, well, why are you brothers are targeting on this? You seem like you're harping on something. It's like you're holding a grudge. Many people overlook the fact that he said that they don't make no mistakes. This statement in and of itself,
What do you mean don't make mistakes?
First of all, you're affirming perfection.
Other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
For other than the messengers, whom they are ma'sumin, yani by way of tabligh.
The message.
They are ma'sumin, meaning they are the ones that don't make no error when it comes to conveying the message. But anyone besides that, yusib wa yukhti.
Yukhti wa yusib.
It could be correct or it could be incorrect.
Anybody after them.
I mean, this has always been the belief and understanding of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The Salafis, quote unquote, Salafiyah. From the Salaf, this has always been their understanding. Henceforth, the statement of Imam Malik.
That everybody's statement is accepted or rejected except for the one in that grave. And he pointed to the grave of the Prophet.
He was in the Prophet's masjid at the time when he was giving his daughters. So if we understand that, then why it doesn't apply to the same thing? And like we said, if the brothers are not calling to this, and we're not saying that they are, then they need to check this, because now it's getting out of hand.
It's getting out of hand.
The people that are following them are making their own statements.
No.
We had another individual. We have it recorded. You can listen to the recordings. You got to start listening to the statements that are being said.
No.
He said that Bilal Davis and Abu Khadija. And when I heard it, I'm saying, well, I don't believe that the brothers are actually encouraging this. The Esau tell you all the time. I say I don't believe that they can actually encourage this. The brother said that they are the best of the Salafiyin.
And whoever is against them, we will hunt you down.
So it's recorded.
It's recorded.
That these statements were actually made. And what hurts is that everyone seems to ignore these key elements that which shows characteristics of Hizbiyah, characteristics of not just a cult of innovation.
Yep.
Most of the people are innovators. This is what they do. They show fanaticism towards their cause, their ideology. Other than that, which is Islam, and it can be just as simple as a statement of saying they are the best of Salafiyin.
Even though the messenger and the prophets are the best of the Salafiyin.
I don't know no scholar that we ever say, well, yeah, he's the best of the Salafiyin.
Yeah, we don't say that about Bin Baz, rahimahullah.
He reached the level of Sheikh Islam without a shahada, without a certificate or a degree. He became Sheikh Islam. And we still don't call him the best of the Salafiyin. No. We advise them brothers, inshallah ta'ala, to not accept these overly praised, that they take down these tweets where they're praising each other over excessively. We advise them to advise their followers not to attribute something to them and make it seem like there is a cult or some Hizbi aspects that are there. And we do advise them in the way of nasiha as being their brothers in Islam.
The Alawite sect of Shi'ism, started by Al-Ulya ibn Athara al-Dawais al-Dawsi, were from the earliest known ideologies of this wicked deviation. They hold Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu superior to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their delusions even reached the peak of claiming Ali sent Muhammad to mankind sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for that reason, they say Ali is a god. This practice was recycled to a lesser extreme among fanatical adherents of the Hanafi, Maliki, or Shafi'i or Hanbali schools of fiqh. There are also strands of fanaticism towards the scholars that exist among certain Sufi orders. Sheikh Abdul al-Khalid ibn al-Thuman wrote an extensive position on this subject entitled Fanaticism Towards the Scholars. All of this is rejected, as Islam is complete submission and obedience to Allah, along with obedience to everything the Prophet ﷺ conveyed from the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. Sheikh Muqbil rahimahullah said it best: we need to be fanatical towards the Quran and Sunnah.
How do we bring this home?
SubhanAllah.
How do we bring this home? I mean, we read that. Now, how do we bring it home?
No.
How do we relate? Show these statements that we mentioned earlier, how it leads up to that.
That's what it leads to, Sheikh.
It leads to that. You're saying that they don't got no errors.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off overly praising them. First of all, they're upon the Sunnah. They're upon clarity. Take only from their classes. You see the steps?
Mm-hmm.
The love. Show the steps. First, they're upon the Sunnah. They're upon clarity. They're our brothers. They're teaching Khair. Alhamdulillah. Then it goes from that stage to the next stage. Now that you're only supposed to take your knowledge from them, no one else. If it's so, your Salafi is in question. Okay, then move from that. Now we move from that to, we over-excessively praise them. If you want to know if somebody is upon the Sunnah, then you have to see if
he loves this one, and love this one,
love that one. Then we move in the fact of saying, they are defenders of the Sunnah, they're the revivers of the Minhaj. Look at the statements. Then we move all the way up to the statement that, they are free from errors, they're upon clarity, they don't make no mistakes.
And that's almost going to what the Alawi sect eventually did to Ali, or the Christians did to Isa alayhi salam, or anybody, or the Ghulu and the Salih. Ghulu leads to shirk eventually. Beware. Ghulu, being extreme in people's personalities. We're not saying that the brother, obviously that's not on the level right now, but it leads to that. We see from Ibn Abbas's explanation to the people of Nuh, to that, it leads. But it was ishtiraj though. It was slow steps. They didn't commit shirk at first, but it was just complete excessive praising, overly praising, till it got to the point where they started worshiping. It's the same thing to Isa, the same thing to Hussein, the same thing to Ali, the same thing to the righteous people amongst the people of Nuh.
And only the people that Allah have mercy on are really going to pay attention to this stuff. Everybody's going to, go around and skirt around it and say, I feel it in my heart. I don't like what's going on. I don't understand this, I don't understand that. But they won't be, it won't come out and say, you know what, that is right. Anytime a man tell you, look at the level of fanaticism. It's the Taraj the brother talking. I would take a bullet for this particular brother. Just so he can remain here to give dawah. And you're like, okay, you'll take a bullet for who? And a person doesn't show that feeling and emotion even for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's worn that type of love more than anyone. That admiration more than anyone will be the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Henceforth, Sheikh Muqbil stated, we need to be fanatical towards the Quran and the Sunnah. That's what we are fanatics on. That's what we are fans of. That's, as our elder Talib Abdullah mentioned, one class he broke down the word fan and how the word fan actually comes from fanaticism. And you see how some people, they're overly fans when they might follow entertainers. They become obsessive. And they start following them, they start leaving them notes, and just lead to other weird stuff. And you see this now where the callers have become more bigger than the actual du'ats. And this is why we see in the likes of our beloved brother Abu Maryam Alim. Back in the day, he used to have a mektaba, a little shop
from Germantown Masjid. I remember that.
From Sunnah. And he used to promote, a lot of the tapes that he would promote back then was the ulama. And one of the reasons when I had a conversation with him, he was saying that it's good to get the people hooked and get the people connected to the ulama, not more so to personalities and to du'at. Get them connected to the people of knowledge. And back then at that time, I really didn't understand the wisdom and the profound, understanding and
the heaviness of that statement.
I didn't really understand it at that time because alhamdulillah, I'm at the G, I'm fresh, back, I'm home, and I'm looking around like, okay, this is where they need to be at. But he kept saying, push the people towards, the scholars, push the people towards learning. Now we have Sheikh Abu Abdul A'la, Khalid ibn Uthman, writing a work on fanaticism towards the scholars, which means it does exist.
It does exist.
It does exist.
Well, we see it. You want to say it's the elephant in the room or whatever, but we clearly see
They done made it
clearly
his.
see.
They done made it his around Sheikh Rabi'a.
Yeah, Sheikh Mahmoud Lutfi Ahmed said he said this years ago, I fear that the youth are going to make a hizb around Sheikh Rabi'a. And he said, I fear that this laqab, or this surname they're giving them, Ahmed Khaliyun, is going to be true at some point. And we saw it happen.
Alhamdulillah, the Sheikh is freeing himself.
Sheikh is free himself from it. Sheikh Rabi'a himself, if you look online right now, Sheikh Rabi'a is refuting every single one of these characteristics and telling the brothers to make islah, correction, telling the brothers to leave off this bickering, telling the brothers to make tawbah, telling the brothers to fear Allah. His son giving advice to the Salafis in the West. We see it over and over again. Is anybody listening? Sheikh Rabi'a is free from this fanaticism. May Allah preserve the Sheikh.
Cults and Hizbis are preoccupied with bringing in new members.
Now, it says, Cult and Hizbis are preoccupied in bringing in new members. Sheikh Abu Ala Al-Khalid Al-Uthman Ibn Uthman, Hafizahullah, may Allah preserve the Sheikh, he said, this is among the most distinct signs of fanatics. Chauvinists, or people of desires. Chauvinists, people of desires. They use the real word there, right?
Yeah,
and Hizbiyin. They are proud with large numbers. Furthermore, they disparage the scholars who educate people with small numbers at their gatherings. Through large numbers, Hizbists are able to swindle and mob others. Amazingly, you will find that the cult Hizbi leaders, angry and nauseated when invited to a gathering where small numbers are in attendance.
We have statements. You go ahead.
He'll blame and scold the one responsible, saying, why didn't you advertise this so we can have more attendees? This character contradicts the mythology of the Salaf, who feared large followings. Contemplate on the following narrations. Uqba ibn Muslim, rahimahullah, he said, I would give a class with 1, 2, or 3 or 4 people, but if more came, I would remain quiet and get up and leave. Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, said, it was said to Sufyan ibn Uyayna, rahimahullah, there are people coming to see you from all over the world. Would you display anger towards them so they turn and leave you? He said, they are fools like you. They leave that which benefits them for my bad character. There are numerous narrations that convey the displeasure the pious predecessors held for large numbers of followers. In reality, large numbers don't equate success. Cult Hizbi groups thrive on huge followings because they generate more revenue for the movement and are traditionally tools of recruitment. Hence, they broadcast that exuberant numbers showed up at their events as an enticement for others to join. The question remains, how is this attendance accurately accounted for, and why from others? Is there a benefit involved for them or your society?
Now think about it. Now I want you to think and be honest with yourself. We're not telling you to call anyone out. How many times have you came across a lecture or a doula that was put together by the ulama overseas, and they ever mentioned how many people was in attendance? For those that, a lot of us got Twitter account, we're not going to act like we don't. For those who, want to feel like they followed along and, with the Twitters, with the scholars and stuff like that, look at the scholars and I want you to see, did they ever mention how many people came out?
No. I saw Sheikh Sayyid Islam, Hafizahullah, give classes, and it was maybe 15 people in the class sometimes.
We just got finished looking at the biography of Hayat al-Insan.
He started with
like
4 people or something.
4
like
people. Sheikh Mukbil too.
Yeah.
Sheikh Abdul Muhsin as well. From the account, y'all probably heard the biography of Sheikh Mukbil from Mustafa George. From the account, he started what?
Yeah.
Even with Sheikh Abdul Muhsin as well. Had 4 people in the masjid.
Yeah.
Small numbers at a time. Sometimes, like he said, the narration, they would close the book if it was too many more people.
They would have gave the class and nobody was there.
Yeah. And they would close the book if it was too many more people. Do you understand why they would close the book if it was too many people? Because they fear. This was about sincerity. They feared that their niyat for what they was doing it for would change because of huge numbers, because of people following them. This is something that we don't take into account, but we see it all the time. People mention to you, alhamdulillah, we have 20,000 in attendance today. Alhamdulillah, we had over 10,000 people came in attendance today. Alhamdulillah, we had over, these are tactics that people use, that can be questionable. Why are you mentioning it? Like the brother saying, what is the benefit of you mentioning to how many people came? Because if one person came, as the Prophet ﷺ told Ali ibn Abi Talib, what did he say? If you guide one person, it's better than you than what?
Than a red camel.
Than a red camel. So if one person out of 10 people was to be guided from what you're given, that's more better for you than guiding all 10 of them. You understand what I'm saying? Because 10 of them don't get it, but one might just get it.
No.
Your goal is not about the numbers, it's about quality and not, quantity.
And sincerity.
And sincerity, but that's not the case. But why do they do this? He's giving them more insight now. They do this because this is in a recruitment.
No, and for
type.
revenue.
Yeah, because now you will say, the person who's a newcomer, he'll say, you know what? I'm not going over here. They got little less followers.
Nobody's
I'm going to go
there.
over here.
Nobody's
Everybody seems to go there because it's the more numbers. You know, these are the type of tactics that people use.
SubhanAllah. The Hizbi, and also we know the messengers, it wasn't that their success wasn't based on who followed them. Some messengers don't come with nobody on the day of judgment. Some with one. Noah called for 950 years. We know at least only 80 people followed him from some narration. Only 80 people for 950 years. Only 80 people listened, and he still called. So the success is not in numbers. The success is just giving the call. That's it. The Hizbi will always, a caller Sheikh Abdul Aziz al-Bara'i said, the Hizbi will always call others to his clique, regardless if it is in the invitee's well-being or not. It makes no difference if that person is a Sufi, a Shi'i, or anything else. The Hizbi needs numbers to increase his group and then boast those numbers to others. Sometimes the Hizbi not only airs his numbers, but brags about the service he does for Allah's religion. Ibn Aqil rahimahullah said, if you want to know the condition of Islam with the people of your era, don't look at the crowds gathering at the masjid's doors or listen to the thunderous broadcast about their service to Islam, but rather pay attention to the application of the Sharia.
And how many times for years and years we had lectures after lectures, respect the people who put forth the dawah, who laid down the dawah. The scholars don't talk like this.
No.
They don't praise themselves like this.
No.
Putting forth all of these efforts. Who was here in the trenches? Who was warning against the people of Bid'ah? Who was doing this? As the brother who said they was the best of the Salafiyyin. He went on to say for 10 years. Remember what he said? 10 years. They was doing this and they was doing that and they was doing that. And those 10 years, who can say from amongst them, and I'm not, again, attacking nobody, but who can say with absolute certainty that Allah even accepted any of those actions?
Yeah.
We just came across a narration ourselves that the Salaf will pray 6 months in advance, according to Ibn Rajab, they will pray 6 months in advance just to reach the month of Ramadan. Then after Ramadan is over, they will pray 6 more months, and 6 more months just to ask Allah to accept
SubhanAllah. We have
their actions in the month of Ramadan that passed away. SubhanAllah.
And we have the narration where if Allah accepted if he knew that Allah accepted that one prostration he was doing, he would ask to die at that moment, so because he knew Allah accepted that act.
That act. So when you look at their actions, the Salaf, you will see that it was totally far away. And what he's saying here is that they use this as a ploy tactic.
No.
We have the bigger numbers, we have the bigger followers. We are the ones that connected with the scholars. I tell you a real intimate incident that took place, and it's I want you to really use your mind and think about this. There's a particular brother that y'all might don't know of. Alhamdulillah, it was a brother. Allah blessed him to go overseas, Egypt. He learned Arabic and stuff like that. He have got wind that Sheikh Falah Ismail al-Mundaqar, before people stopped taking from the Sheikh, obviously, but when we was taking from the Sheikh, right now, but I still respect the Sheikh and I still take from him. However, back then he had got wind that Sheikh Falah was actually coming to America.
Mm-hmm.
So he took it upon himself. He contacted Sheikh Falah. Sheikh Falah didn't answer the phone. His wife answered the phone and said, listen, well, he already left to go to the States. So alhamdulillah, he got the number that he was going to go visit a relative who was sick, so forth, in the States. And then what happened was, he got the number where they was located, because they gave him the number where they were located at, in the hotel he was staying. So when he got the number by the permission of Allah, what he did was, not to make a long story, what he did was he set it up a meet to go see the Sheikh. So then the brother, out of kindness, he contacted another particular brother, and then this particular brother was, in alignment with some other brothers, alhamdulillah, that was in the area of Dawah. Yeah. And we're not going to mention any names because, again, we don't make this like as a personal attack here. But I just want you to see the end. We're going somewhere with it. So after he got these brothers, they went down first. They visited the Sheikh, alhamdulillah, and they have got the Sheikh to come to their masjids and come to Philadelphia and go around to the people and talk. So this actually happened. So they got the Sheikh to agree. Then we went back and went to go visit the Sheikh on the second time because the brother couldn't get to work. And I was amongst them that went to go visit the Sheikh. And anyway, on our way back from visiting the Sheikh, alhamdulillah, was no problems. The brother who initially got the number from this particular brother, he had him on a speakerphone. He said, "Brother, I just had to defend you." And this is where this is my point. I'm about to bring it home. He said, "I just had to defend you." He said, "Why would you have to defend me?" He said, "Because the brothers here who are in the field of dawah, they're wondering, why did you contact the Sheikh? Who are you to pick up the phone and contact the Sheikh?
SubhanAllah.
Who are you to even deal with?" And this goes back again to controlling the way that the dawah is given, because they want the people to know that we are the ones in contact with the scholars. We are the ones that set up telelinks. We are the ones that do this. Anyone else that does this, you don't pay attention to them, because they are not clear. They are not this. They are not that, for whatever reason. And people are just not really looking at this. Like we don't do that. We give dawah, alhamdulillah, and we ask that Allah accept our dawah. It's not because so and so giving dawah, more the merrier. If he's calling to the correct way, he's calling to the correct way. Alhamdulillah, we need, as Sheikh Al-Albani said, we need 1,000 scholars.
No.
We need 1,000 students. I mean, we don't need one particular people or one specific group or three or four scholars. We need more than that.
Yeah, but you call into a clique, and you call into revenue, and you call into yourself, and you call into a particular way, and you call into a particular place, a particular street, a particular masjid. This is the end result. The end result is you lose control of it. The Amatan Nas, or the general people, get it. They even go farther than the ones who called them to it in the first place. They go farther, and everybody lose control of the situation, as we see with statements like, "I'll die for this one, I'll take a bullet for this one." The people are losing control of even the monster that they themselves created. And we're seeing people are losing control of it. Somebody make a statement, "Oh, why these guys, the Master's name Ibn Taymiyyah, why is the name Ibn Taymiyyah? Ain't these guys deviants?" Statements like these are thrown around because people are stuck, and people have a mindset. They're part of a cult and a hizb. We got to call it that. It's a hizb and a cult. This stuff is hizbi cult characteristics. We're not calling anybody hizbiyun. We're not saying some people are cult leaders. We're saying that their actions and these statements are characteristics that line up with a hizb or a cult. That's what we're saying. And if people if they don't want to be labeled like that, like I said, change the shoes. You don't change your shoes and start refuting these statements. Stop tweeting this stuff. Start dealing with this disease that you see. Because if you're not going to refute it and you're going to continue to let it to grow, then you become part of the blame. So the brothers have to, my advice, when they have to start saying something, they have to tell these people to take these Twitters down, take these statements, come out in the open and say, "Hey, this is not from our way. This is not the manhaj of the Salaf. Stop overpraising people. Stop saying this, saying that. Stop calling this one an innovator. Stop not playing in the masjids." They have to come out and say this stuff. We ask Allah to guide them in us. Ameen.
The next part, before we stop and close it up, I really wanted to get to this part. It's called the attack of independent thought. And I think the brother did a real nice job. It's called the attack of independent thought. Just let that settle in there. The brother's going to read some of the statements of the attack of the independent thought.
Attack of independent thought. Cult Hizbi groups highly discourage independent thought and deductive reasoning. Those who question the group's motives and practices are attacked and viewed as arrogant and may be considered as sinful. Blind, absolute acceptance of the group's position is mandatory of its members, and any contrary belief is considered deviancy or deviance.
Middle course.
No middle course.
Straight deviant. We had an individual. What did the individual tell us?
We're deviants.
Because we wouldn't call Shadeed Muhammad a deviant. He said, "Well, you a deviant. You're blocked. I know where you're at now. I know where you stand at." We have an individual who, sits around and just watch everybody come out of the masjid, and for months on end, you just go in. You stay away from them. I heard they're connected to Shadeed Muhammad. Stay away from them. I heard they're connected to Sheikh Yahya. Stay away from them. And then it's not just us; it's other brothers too. It's like deviant. Why are we so easy to go to that word? Why everybody goes?
It's an agenda to it. It's an agenda.
It's an agenda to it. As you see here, because people, they're not even independently thinking for themselves. They don't see no traits of deviancy. They know whatever. They don't even know what deviance is.
Or sunnah is either.
But the people that are leading them, now we have to get back to that. The people that are leading them, we have to advise you now. What is your motive? Because if you see that these people are going around, going to other masjids and going to other people and calling people deviants without no qualms, and you know that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ have not sanctioned that, and you know that the Deen or the Salaf did not do that, then we have to look now, what are your motives? Why aren't you saying anything about this? Why are you not stopping it? Why are you not addressing it? Why are you allowing it to happen? The atmosphere has been created. We have to advise you to say something. You have to say something now. People are screaming your name. Somali. People are screaming your name. Abu Khadija. People are screaming these names for why they're acting the way that they are acting. I don't have to pray in that masjid. Why? Because Abu Khadija said so. The characteristics there. They're upon bid'ah. That going back to that particular person. And you're like, okay, well, the brother didn't tell you that.
Or the known Dai said so. The known caller said this.
Yeah. First question, if you go anywhere, the first question that it seems that they are programmed to ask is, do the brothers know them?
Yeah.
And you see that? It went past, let me see if his statements and his actions is in accordance to the Quran and the Sunnah. What Sheikh Rahili said?
As he said. He said, you want to know what tazkiyah is? That a person's statements and action line up to Kitab and Sunnah. What he's teaching is on the Sunnah.
Did he say look at the scholars and see what happened first?
No.
He said see if his statements what?
No, line up to Quran and Sunnah.
So why is we looking to see if the brothers know him?
Even Sheikh Ubaid said, what did Sheikh Ubaid? He said, a person, if you don't know him, he said, firstly, but if he's teaching and it's saying, call Allah, call Rasulullah, and it's according to the Sunnah, then it's labas.
Not look and see if the brothers know him.
No.
Where we made this up. Yeah, you got to wait and see if the brothers know him. If the brothers know him and they pass, your religion is according to the brothers? You got to be careful with that.
And he says, Sheikh Salahuddin Muqbil Ahmed said, I believe wholeheartedly that the scholars of Islam are the farthest from those described as those who proceed independently in their opinions and then force them on others. Rather, they accepted the truth no matter where it came from with total honesty and complete sincerity. They acted in this manner because they knew with certainty that the truth is not restricted to anyone except the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They returned. Sorry about that. Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, said, this is the opinion of An-Nu'man, and whoever comes with one better, then it has more right to be adhered to. Adhered to. Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, said, I never debated with anyone except that I would say, O Allah, allow the truth to be in his heart and on his tongue. If the truth is with me, he will follow me. If the truth is with him, I will follow him.
See the justice?
See the justice?
See the sincerity? And this is the same reason why we kept blaming people following madhabs. You ever know the reason why we kept blaming and censoring them?
No.
Because they would take the statement of their particular madhab
over the statement of the Prophet.
Over the statement of the Prophet. You gotta be careful to draw that fine line. There's no one, whether he's a da'i, whether he's a scholar, whether he's an alim, whether he's a talib or ilm, whether he's an imam. There's no one that have unrestricted obedience to, besides Allah and His Messenger. There is no one that you have to sit back and you fear and double check your religion. The only ones you double check your religion with, in terms of knowing about knowledge and stuff like that, if you're a lay person, you got to go to the ulama. And if you're a student, you have to refer back to the ulama. And if you're a scholar, they even refer back to the ulama, those who are preceded them in knowledge, referring back to the book of Allah and the Sunnah.
No.
So you want to be leery and really, it's something that have grew here.
No.
And it's something which grew, like you said before, that they couldn't control the mosques.
No.
It seemed like it's a whole new thing. And it's not just in Philadelphia. Even though it seemed heavy here, it's all over, brothers. We had a brother in Morocco just tell us that there are Salafi schools that are there, but not schools, there are Salafi brothers that are there that are trying to start things up. But then there's the Salafis in the south that don't deal with the Salafis in the north. And he said it's circulating around this particular thing here. In terms of, who
you accept as an innovator or not, and who's stating the Sheikh Rabia
and all that. And it's like I'm starting to see the pattern here. After I read this article, I really was thinking like, okay, maybe it might be a little bit, But now I'm starting to see the actual, as I'm dealing with real live people here. People that say
he's on point. Everything he said. Everything he's saying.
People saying they were jumping from the bullets.
No.
People are saying that they, you have to take from them. If you don't, you're not Salafi.
Everything he's saying.
All of these things, and I'm thinking like, well, why are they saying this stuff? So that left me with two questions. One, I got to sincerely advise my brothers that are in the forefront of giving dawah here and abroad that you dissociate yourself immediately from this type of behavior, and that you advise these people that not to overly praise you and excessively. And secondly, that you don't do it amongst yourself. And thirdly, if this is something that you do not do, then I'm going to take it as that this is something that you really are calling to and you are pleased with it.
No.
And we hope that this is not the case.
No.
I'm going to put the best spin on it that that's not the case, inshallah.
We'll see. The starting point for independent thought is justice and equality. A Muslim gives respect to the positions and religious rulings of others. Scholars differ among themselves in usul al-fiqh, not in aqidah, and in the subsidiary issues of fiqh. What's more is that students have differed with their teachers and imams in various issues. Abu Yusuf and Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani differed with their Sheikh Imam Abu Hanifa. Ibn Wahab, Ibn al-Majasun, and Ibn Abi Hazim all didn't blind follow Imam Malik in everything he said. They differed with him in many issues and chose positions other than his. Imam Ahmad, rahimahullah, prohibited his students from recording his opinions. He encouraged them to rely directly on the Quran and the Sunnah.
So we're going to stop here, but I just want to remind everybody and myself, independently start thinking for yourself. What is a sign that you're not independently thinking for yourself? The moment when you say to yourself, I have to wait to see what the brother said. Mm-hmm. The moment when you can't go inside the masjid because I don't know what the brother said. The moment you can't do any act or action, or you won't do any act or action because you want to keep worrying about what the brother said. That's not your thinking for yourself. Thinking for yourself now, again, is applying that which Allah Jalla blessed you to have, which is a faculty. Now you refer back that to the Quran and the Sunnah of what you know. If it's people who are knowledgeable that you can go back to, listen, I've seen some acts, or I'm not, really sure about this particular thing here. Can you help me in this regard? Not a specific group of people, because the people of the Sunnah, they are found everywhere. They're spread all over the earth, and we take from no matter wherever they are, and no matter whoever they are, we take from them. As long as the evidence and the haq is in agreement with that, their statements in that, we take from
we
them.
Take it.
We don't, we don't just exclude ourselves or restrict ourselves to these particular people.
No.
So I advise people to start really thinking for yourselves, and don't allow whatever was going on right now, I know we're in some bleak times, to drive you away from Islam. The ulama, they are aware. Stop waiting. We all waiting around till we're waiting for the hammer to drop.
They already talking.
They're already talking about it. They are aware of it, and the best advice that they give all of us from the major scholars like Sheikh Fawzan and Sheikh Abdul Muhsin and Sheikh Muhammad Wahab al-Wasabi, rahmatullah ta'ala, they advise us that the main thing we need to do is seek knowledge.
Yep.
The main thing we need to do is seek knowledge, because the more you enlighten yourself, the more you start learning, then you're going to what? You're not going to be so easily manipulated. You're not going to be so easily duped into believing that, whatever the brothers say are haq. It don't work like that.
The more that we learn, we sit in this library, the more that we go over things, the more that we see the statements of the people that pass, how they handle innovation and people of innovation. It got real ugly to me to call somebody that name without proof and evidence. You know why? Because that's a heavy statement to say something. Because first of all, you're saying that he believes that he knows better than the Prophet ﷺ. You got to say now he's innovative. He's saying that the Prophet ﷺ didn't fulfill his duties. It's a lot that comes with that. And to say that about somebody is a heavy statement. If it's not true, it's coming back to you. It's heavy. May Allah save our tongues from ever saying about somebody and it's not true.
Barakallahu feek. Stay tuned for the next 5-minute wake up, inshallah ta'ala. We'd like to thank you all again. Have a blessed Eid, inshallah ta'ala. And remember the takbirat. It starts after Salatul Maghrib tonight. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.